Hello, everybody. This is Walt Blackman and my brother,
Dave Marshall.
and we're here for another episode of America First Brothers. Let me tell you why Dave a little bit upset. We're gonna be talking about that today, the redistricting maps. That's why he ain't really said much. He got that black anger syndrome going. But we're gonna be talking about the redistricting and the new maps that came out. We were going to do something else, but this is a little bit more important. So that's why we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk the legislative maps first, and then we'll talk some of the congressional districts. But what we're going to do is concentrate on the districts of 6 and 7.
Yes. Well, I think how you should start this off, talk about a little bit about the maps, because you've been through this before, the redistricting and all that. Well, Not maybe you haven't gone through it,
no,
but you're familiar with it.
Yeah. So redistricting is every 10 years based on the census. And after they get that number, then they start to build new congressional and legislative maps. So the maps, Marcus Aurelius, can you put the map up? Marcus. We are concentrating on 6 and 7. So every 10 years, a new map comes out based on the census, and then they draw new lines. And when they draw those new lines, some of those districts may turn into Democrat districts, and Democrat districts could turn into Republican districts just based on how they draw that map. Now, how long have they been doing the redistricting? About 6 months?
They've been doing it for about 6-7 months, yes.
6-7 months they've been doing the redistricting and playing with maps. We have a total of 12.1 maps out right now. And this Monday, the commission goes into closed session with the final draft map. So that's where we're at right now. So typically, LD6 is very conservative. So when you're looking at the map, if you look at Payson, Snowflake, Taylor as the map is up, and you're looking at some pieces of Flagstaff, the rural areas are more conservative. You go down to Cottonwood, Clarkdale, Tonto Basin, all those areas right now, the way the map is currently set up are conservative. It's a conservative base.
Yes.
It's a conservative base. And 7 is a Democrat base, because they got more votes off the reservation, and indigenous people typically tend to vote Democrat.
Yes. Right now, if you look at the map, at the very top of the map, the northern part of the map, that right now is the LD7. The 12.1 map says it's the LD7. Now, excuse me, let me correct myself. It's LD6, because now LD6 encompasses the reservations, all the way west to Mojave County, east to the border, and then it drops down south where it will go into San Carlos, it'll go into Graham County, and a little bit of the Gila County. Now, if you look at the yellow on the right-hand side, that is LD7, but if you look to the far east, there's a cutout in LD7, that is Snowflake and Taylor.
And Snowflake they cut in half.
They cut Snowflake in half. What they did was take Snowflake and Taylor and made it part of LD6, which is part of the reservation, which we'll get into in a minute, which makes no sense.
Yeah. So with the map of 12.1 for our area, Snowflake and Taylor, putting that into the same district as the Navajo Indian Reservation, the Apache Indian Reservation, actually goes against the Constitution, the Arizona Constitution and the United States Constitution, because maps have to be, these redistricting maps you have to have communities of interest, okay? And we talk about communities of interest on this new map. Actually, Snowflake has nothing to do with Maricopa County and Phoenix.
No, it doesn't.
Because that's an urban area, and this is a rural area. And then also, how this hurts Snowflake and Taylor, or Snowflake in particular, we are now part of a blue district, which if you look at that tan part on the map where Dave was talking about, We are now part of a Democrat-held district with the points being 45 to 27. 45% predicted Democrat votes and 27 predicted Republican votes, and 23% independent. The reason why that's unconstitutional, because it is not a competitive district. And competitive districts are any numbers in between 1 to 6, maybe 8. That's a competitive district. This is a blowout for the Democrats and the liberal left.
Well,
what do you say? No, yeah. Don't throw no chairs.
No. Last night, we're sitting up and we're getting these phone calls, we're getting these emails, we're getting these text messages. Goes, have you seen the maps? Have you seen the maps? So we open up the maps. I'm going, are you kidding me?
Yeah, I thought it was a joke.
So did I.
I thought it was a joke when I saw it. Yeah.
And like Walt just said, there's no community of interest whatsoever. We are a rural community.
Yeah.
The reservation is not rural.
I don't see any cows walking down Van Buren Street.
I don't see too many of them walking down through the reservation either.
No, and I think the only time I saw a cowboy hat is when I wore it down to Phoenix.
And again, a lot of times what happens is that the reservation gets very upset and they threaten lawsuits.
Yeah.
They threaten to sue the board if they don't get their way. Yeah. And this is what sounds like happened in this new 12.1 map, because just a week and a half ago, it was totally different map.
It was.
And overnight,
it changed.
It changed.
And Flagstaff had something to do with that, because they brought some new map in, I guess. But, here's the deal, and my wife just said it perfectly. Why are we catering to areas of the state that are not in our same interest? And that's what's happening. So essentially, Snowflake and Taylor, and I speak to that because that's where I live, Snowflake and Taylor will have no Republican representation at the legislative level because the way the map is drawn. Now, what is that going to do to resources? Are resources going to get dried up? We got issues with the forestry. We got issues with the roads. We got issues, funding education, all those things. And now, if this map goes forward, Snowflake will be off of the table. Not even in the room. We won't even be in the room, Dave.
No.
I mean, we're outside holding the sign up talking about help me.
We'll work for food.
We'll work for food. Basically, that's what it is.
Well, the past 10 years, it's been like that for Show Low, Pine Top, Lakeside, Round Valley. They had no representation. This year alone, the reservations were asking to be made whole.
Yeah.
They wanted all the reservations together under one map. Well, they got it.
They had it.
But now it wasn't enough. Now they said, well, we need to include other parts of the area of Navajo County so that they have more people.
Yeah.
But they got what they asked for.
Yeah.
And then, we want Snowflake and Taylor now.
Yeah.
And also Flagstaff was also saying, well, we want to throw Snowflake and Taylor in and put Flagstaff in the LD7.
Yeah. So it's backwards. If they do anything, Flagstaff should be in LD6, because that, when we're going south down to the urban area in LD7, and it kind of sloops, nudges up against, Maricopa County, that's urban, and Flagstaff is urban. Okay, this is the definition of gerrymandering.
It is
right here overnight. You go to bed and it's like you wake up and it's like, oh my goodness, what is all this? So the reason why the Navajo Nation and the Native American representative, you made a point that they wanted more population. Okay, yes. I got to tell you, in the Navajo Nation, 40% of the people. 40,000? 40,000 Navajo Indians left the reservation. And they left the reservations for a myriad of things. And I've talked about that on some of my Facebook Lives. They left it because they are not happy living under socialism. And that's what it is. And then since they left, now it's like, oh, we need more people. Because everybody left.
Yeah.
Oh, turn the lights on. They left because of the system up there. And now what has happened, we see it starting to encroach into areas that were once conservative, and now if this map goes, they will be liberal and dark blue.
Well, Walt brought up the Constitution and how this is against the Constitution and how this is gerrymandering. Let me tell you what the Constitution, Arizona Constitution says under Article 4, Part 2. Is that verse 1?
Yep,
verse 1.
Sound like the Bible.
What it says here, it says districts, first one, districts shall comply with the United States Constitution and the United States Voting Rights Act. 2, congressional districts shall have equal population to the extent practicable, and state legislative districts shall have equal population to the extent practicable. The third thing is districts shall be geographically compact and contiguous to the extent practicable, and district boundaries shall respect communities of interest. Communities of interest
Exactly.
to the extent practicable. Fifth, to the extent practicable, district lines shall use visible geographic features, city, town, and county boundaries, and undivided census tracts. And finally, to the extent practicable, competitive districts should be favored where to do so would create no significant detriment to the other goals.
Exactly. And it does that. This new 12.1 legislative map goes against those points of the Constitution. And it clearly, Dave even said, it clearly lays out about the Voting Rights Act. So if this goes forward, then the people, particularly in Snowflake and Taylor and some of the other areas, Round Valley,
Shoalo, Pine Top,
Lakeside, they will not have a vote. You will not have a vote because we lost that because of the way they gerrymandered these maps. Now, I want to talk about really quickly how the overall problem that I see. And so say the maps stay this way and 6 gets their 3 representatives, or their 2 representatives in the center. And if it were the points they have today, it would be next to impossible for a Republican to win in that district. It's 46-27. So say they get 6, and let's say we get 7, kind of evens it out. But if you've been paying attention to what's going on at the State House, we are 31-29. Here's where the problem lies. If you go down south, where all those districts are compact, down in the areas of District 8, District 4, District 1, District 15, District 11, District 22. When you go down to those legislative districts in that area, now this map has Republicans that are already in office running against other Republicans. In one district, you have 5 incumbents that are running against each other. 5 incumbents. Based on the number of seats that we have right now in the House, as I said, 31-29. So I don't think that we are looking at the end game of this, Dave, when these districts down here, these elections down here, not every Republican that's an incumbent is going to win. So we will lose Republicans in those districts that are squunched together, the districts that I said. What does that do to our House? Well, we could possibly, if this isn't played out right, we could possibly lose the House if some of those members are not returning.
When you're looking at this map though yourself right now, does that look like it's something intentional that was done intentionally so that we would lose seats?
I mean, now that we're just talking, I didn't think about this until today. And now that we're talking about it, it does make sense. It does make sense because if we do this, the way this map is now, and the changes take place in the South with the districts that are so close together, we're going to have some problems. Now, I'm not saying that for sure, but I am just looking at the map and then being in the House of Representatives, and I know who my peers are running against. And as I said, some of them are running against each other. And it's like that in the Senate, too. The Senate has folks that are currently in office running against other people that are currently in office that are Republicans. And that is not good news. It really isn't. It really isn't. So, I mean, and I don't know. What do you think? I mean, do you think that, looking at the map now and seeing how it plays, I don't know, it could have been, something that wasn't intentionally done, particularly down in the South. But and when they made this.
When they made LD6 to come across into Snowflake and Taylor,
Yeah.
to take out Sholo and Pine Top, which was in the new LD7,
Yeah.
that was intentional.
Yeah.
That was intentional. As Walt said, it appears that they're trying to make two Democrat districts.
Yeah. And 6 and 7.
Yes.
They're trying to do that. And if we look at, and then we got to look at who's running. So not everyone likes everybody who runs.
No.
Okay, because you have some political differences and so on and so forth. Can we win in 7? That would be the question. Can we win in 7 with this map? Based on the demographics and the voter demographics in 7 right now, we have a lot of voters that are independent voters. They're sitting right there in the middle. Okay. Now, on some issues like Second Amendment and pro-life, unborn, and parent choice for schools, you'll see a lot of independents vote or that way. But if you look at how they feel about the far right rhetoric that we hear sometimes, that turns voters off. It really does. I mean, I was looking at a poll study today from the Pew Institute, and it does. It turns those independent voters off, and they will tend to go with somebody is either moderate or they'll just jump on the other side and go Democrat. And that is the problem that I see in 7. So it's not just the maps are changing. Who is running in that district? And can that person effectively pick up those independent votes that they would need?
You think about this, though. Look at the state of affairs in our country right now. Look at the direction our country is headed in. And it's not good.
No.
Cost of living's gone up. Gasoline's gone up. Food's gone up. Everything's gone up. Now, in order for the Democrats to save themselves, they would have to gerrymander to try to get votes. Because you think about it, a year and a half ago, were you better off then than you are today?
Mm-mm.
And so I would reach out and venture to say that, no, you're not. No. Inflation, 40-year high. It's ridiculous. Gas prices, ridiculous. 6%, your grocery bills have gone up. Everything is going up and going up. But, and I think that over in the White House, the Democrats understand that, you know what, people are not happy.
And they know that.
So how do you manipulate the system? And Maybe by gerrymandering.
You could.
I don't know if this is the case. But it's possible.
You're right. You're right. I mean, and I will tell you, the Democrats will find ways to come out on top.
Well, look at New York. What did New York just do? They just passed a bill that illegal immigrants, 800,000 of them, can vote in their local elections.
Yeah. And you weren't supposed to do that according to the Voting Rights Act and the Constitution. That they could only vote in federal elections, but now New York is letting them vote in state elections. Now let's say the worst happens and we lose the House based on this, and we lose the Senate. A lot of this is going to be dependent on who is the governor. So the folks we have running for governor now, we have Kerry Lake, we have Matt Salmon, we have Miss Roberson, and then we have what's the other guy? Brian Mache. He's running, and there's somebody else after that.
Another lady that's running.
There's another person
I can't think
running.
of her name right now.
So we'd have to look at that field. Okay, so which one of those folks that are candidates for governor, if this happens, can fight off this liberal attack on our state through legislation? Because that's where it's going to come out. We're going to see abortion bills come up that they'll ignore what comes out of the courts. They're going to ignore that. We're going to see tighter restrictions on the Second Amendment. We're going to see money go where it shouldn't go instead of go where it should go, like policing and education. We're going to see a lot of things change unless we get a governor that can hold the line. Now, Matt Salmon, remember he started the Freedom Caucus.
Yes.
And I mean, the field is ripe. You know, so this could be a master plan. I mean, I don't know. I'm a conspiracy theorist. I am. You know, things just don't happen.
Yeah.
You know, they just don't happen.
Well, like you said, this has happened overnight.
And this happened overnight. You know, and so my question to the, commission, because the whole time they've been talking about communities of interest, they've been talking about competitive districts, and they were talking about compactness of the districts. They've been talking about the whole time. Yes. And then overnight, 24 hours, you see the exact opposite of what they were talking about. So my question to the commissioners was, did you look at this before you got up and left for the weekend?
Or did you look at it with your eyes open?
Yes, because anyone can see when you pull the numbers up that this is not a community of interest, and it is not. I mean, look at the population. So the population just in Navajo County alone right now is 106,000, okay? 106,000. So when we're talking about communities of interest and we're talking about the competitives enough, I mean, if you look at us, 0.6, and that's including Hispanics, Latino. Oh no, they got their own line. Okay, here we go. They got their own line, man. Okay, here we go. Black or African American alone, not Hispanic or Latino, 0.6%.
And we're all sitting in this room.
And we're sitting in this room, and he's like 50%. He don't count. He's up in the Latino part. But they don't even got a number next to him.
They don't have a 50-50?
They just got 42. Hey, man, you getting robbed. They didn't even put you on the map.
Man, they jacked up Mr. Beard, boy.
They jacked you up. But my point being is, I mean, you look on this and you say, well, wait a minute. That doesn't make sense according to the Constitution and what's supposed to happen when we're doing these maps. It doesn't make sense. Okay. Now, I've often said, okay, so if we are going to lump the nations into our voting block, okay, shouldn't we have voter integrity laws on the nation that we can enforce?
We should.
Okay, we should. Because what we have seen is that we are bordering New Mexico and California and Utah. Not us, but the Navajo Nation. Okay, Arizona, New Mexico, and Utah. That's where it borders. Now, I've been told that some folks will live on the New Mexico side and then come over to the Arizona side and vote. But they're still on the nation, so they're not technically moving over. However, when they leave the reservation, if they vote off the reservation in New Mexico and then go vote, and if they live on this side of the border,
they cross over.
They cross over and they come into our state elections and vote there. I mean, I see that's a potential problem, and what you said about New York. They just opened the door to let illegal aliens vote. And that makes sense of why the front door was left open by Biden.
Yeah, because, again, we heard today that a lot of these illegal aliens that are coming across through our southern borders are being flown to the East Coast. The majority of them. New York and New Jersey.
Yeah.
Two big places that they're being sent to.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden they pass a bill that 800,000 can vote in their local.
800,000. 800. That's we need to look at that. And it's we all knew that when Biden decided to stop building the wall, that our elections and our districting and the way the maps would be formatted was going to take an effect. It was going to be affected by what we see at the border. What this year alone, since the fall of Afghanistan, 78,000 have flown in
from Afghanistan.
Not vetted, not vaccinated, no background check, and they flew them to the East Coast.
This year alone, 1.5+ million illegals crossing our southern borders.
Yeah. Now, some of y'all might be saying, well, what does that got to do with redistricting? I'll say it again. It is redistricting as a result of the mass exodus from these other countries into the United States, and how the districts are set up will set the Democrats up for success to win in the next election based on votes. And that's the way I see it. But I'm not an expert.
Well,
Oh, yeah, I am. No, I'm not.
One of the things I want to point out too is that when we've talked about the reservation, we're not talking down the reservation.
No.
And it's not the majority of the people on the reservation. It is some of the leaders in the reservation.
Yeah.
And a lot of times they're pretty persuasive with their people. You know, you must vote this way. You should vote this way. You know, and so we've seen this happen during this commission. If you had the opportunity to go and verbally speak in front of these commissioners, it's very vocal. And even some of these leaders from the reservation were threatening lawsuits.
Yeah.
If they didn't get their way.
Yeah.
And stuff. And so I think some of that was like fear mongering, and it instilled some fear in our commissioners.
Yeah.
You know, we need to return back to the Constitution, the Arizona Constitution, and we need to redraw these maps according to the Constitution and not being fearful of man or the threats of man. We need to abide by the Arizona Constitution, and this is not abiding by the Constitution.
So I just want to put this out there really quick. If you live in, because some folks are like, well, you know, that doesn't affect me. I ain't worried about it. But so if you live in, hold up, where are we at? Okay, so if you are in District 6 as the map sits now, if you live in Tuba City, Kayante, we know that's on the reservation. If you live in Snowflake, if you live in Taylor, if you live in Pinetop Lakeside, if you live in Eager, if you live in Whitewater, if you're down near the San Carlos Reservation, you are now in a dark blue district according to this new map. And then just last year, when I campaigned for LD6, all these towns, Heber, Obergarden too, it was conservative. It was conservative.
Yeah.
It was, and it was within the Constitution, because at the congressional level it was D+3, and then for the legislative level it was Republican 4 or something like that. It was a very close margin. You had to get independent votes to actually to win that district when I ran, and now a Democrat can just put their name on the petition, get some signatures, and they wouldn't even have to campaign.
Well, again, too, the way the map is set up right now, there is no representation for these areas, especially for the conservatives that live in these areas. 10 years ago, this happened to Show Low, Lakeside, Pinetop, and Round Valley. They have not had representation for the past 10 years. The same thing happened. The reservation, the leaders of the reservation, not the people, the leaders were threatening lawsuits and screaming, and they were able to turn those areas blue.
Yeah.
And stuff because of fear of being sued and being drawn out. And now it's happening again.
Yep.
Our encouragement is that the commission would go back, look at the Constitution, follow the Constitution as it is outlined in the Arizona Constitution and the United States Constitution, the Voting Rights Act.
Yep.
But
go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
So, and if you want to do something more, you can also write a letter, okay, to the IRC, particularly if you live in one of those townships, or not townships, but towns or cities in LD7 where they got the map now. You can write into the RC, to the commission, and it lays it out how you could put the letter out. Hey, listen, this is not a community of interest. It's not competitive. It doesn't go. It goes against the Constitution. This is why I think that it should be changed. There's still time to do that.
Yeah, you go to irc.az.gov.
Write your letter and get involved.
You can also phone. There's a phone 800 number on there. You can call, leave a message why you disagree, if you disagree with this map.
Now, are they mandated to look at all?
They're
those
mandated
letters?
to read the letters. They're mandated to listen to the voicemails that come in as well.
Yep.
Now, we have until the 22nd of December. This Monday is the last day that they will take phone calls, but then from that time forward, it's all by comments, by sending emails in. So you can go to irc.az.gov to make your comments. Look at the map. Try to understand what we're trying to get across to you right now. By them, what they're doing right now is taking away our voice in Snowflake Taylor, taking away our representation. And for the next 10 years,
10 years.
You'll have no representation
10 years.
if the maps stay this way.
10 years. Now, I know we're going a little bit over. And
You got 2 minutes.
You got 2 minutes.
You close it out, brother.
Yeah, well, this is actually important.
Okay.
Okay. Dave, tell us how this affects your run right now, because you're running for legislative districts, the old 6, which will be the 7 or what have you. You are actively in a campaign right now in the middle of this turnover. Tell me how does that affect you? What do you do going forward after you pray? I mean, I think that the listeners should be able to hear this, because this directly affects you.
It does. It does. We've been campaigning since March of 2021 this year. We've been campaigning in LD6, which encompass anywhere from west part of Sedona, Williams, also down to Payson, Tonto Basin, back over here to Snowflake, Taylor area, Heber. And now all these months of campaigning in these areas were for naught. That means now everything that we did for the past 7-8 months doesn't mean anything. It's wiped out, because we have to start over in this new map, which is, again, not friendly towards conservatives or Republicans, not friendly. So it's just starting all over again, hoping and praying that, Lord, as the Lord wills, as he directs, he'll still get victory.
Yeah, he will. And some people will probably say, well, that's why you should wait till redistricting is done. It's a double-edged sword. You can't wait until redistricting is done if you're actively going to campaign for a seat or run for a seat. Because if anyone who has waited to campaign, to get signatures, to get their campaigns up, if you are waiting until after redistricting, you're already behind the power curve.
Yeah.
You are already behind the power curve, because you got to get signatures. You got to catch up with fundraising. You got to catch up with just getting out there. So if that is, if that comes up on the radar, well, you should. That is not the answer. That is not the answer. First, we put our faith in God.
Yes.
And then we move forward, and then we make sure that we campaign in the places where God has directed us to campaign and run. However, let me tell you, if we're not careful, if this map is not changed, Dave, you hit the nail right on the head. 10 years, a conservative community of interest will not have that voice at the legislative level, and we certainly don't want the federal government coming down running the district or the state, because that goes against our core principles, having federal government and local business.
Correct.
So everything is at the state level. So this is where we're at. So those folks who, if you want to get involved, I encourage you to get involved, because this move that happened, 6 and 7, it doesn't just affect 6 and 7, because I broke it down how it could affect the southern part of the state and the districts that are compact and the candidates that are running down there. So this affects every Republican in the state, either at the state level or at the federal level.
And again, too, what you're looking at, too, without this representation, without the voice, you're looking at the possibility of Arizona looking like California, New York, New Jersey, Virginia.
Yep.
Well, now Virginia might change, because now they have new leadership there.
Yep.
They have, Republican governor, lieutenant governor, attorney general. Those things may change. But we don't want to look like those blue cities or states, because they're failing the people.
Yeah.
They're failing their citizens.
Yep.
And we don't want to fail our citizens.
Nope.
We want to make sure that we still have those freedoms in Arizona that we've had for decades.
Yeah.
Decades.
And I think we can get that, but we just have to pray, and we need to get people out. We need to get off the sidelines. Hey, everybody, that concludes our show. I'm Walt Blackman. We got some folks. We got some people live right there. We'll answer your comments later on, but we are here, and this will go out to our
America First Brothers.
America First Brothers Facebook. Go to that. Please subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. And it goes on YouTube too, right?
It goes on YouTube.
It's on YouTube. And you're going to start putting it on Rumble? Is it on Rumble?
Yes, it's going to start being on Rumble.
It's going to be on Rumble. So those are platforms that you can go to and get all the episodes of the American First Brothers podcast, or not podcast, Facebook. What do they call this? What is
I
it?
just call it podcast.
This is a podcast. It's a podcast.
What is it, Beard, Mr. Beard?
Yeah. What is it, Mr. Beard? Is this a podcast or is this what is this? What is this?
Yeah.
He said yeah. He said yeah. It's a podcast. So go to that. I'm Walt Blackman,
Dave Marshall.
and we'll see you next time on America First Brothers.
Don't forget to click that.
Oh, click to subscribe. It's probably here or it's here. It could be up here, but it ain't here in the middle. So click it and subscribe and be part of the solution, not the problem.
Share with your friends.